very first two-night King of the West 410 Sprint Car Series shootout on May 17th and 18th. May 17th and 18th at the new Reno Tahoe Fernley Speedway in Fernley, Nevada. From Reno, take Highway 80 east to exit 46 towards Fernley.
Well, hey everyone, we're off and running in the month of May, and this great month of speed is going to continue this Saturday night at the Petaluma Speedway Salute to Baylands, George. I'm excited for this event, and I know you are as well because you actually worked at Baylands.
Well, when we always say excited, but this is one of the times when super excited works for me. You're right. I spent 8 years, almost 8 years at Baylands Raceway Park working with Dave Vodden and a lot of the people that you're going to meet Saturday night at Petaluma. And the racing there in all the various racetracks was phenomenal. And, it's about time that somebody honors what Dave Vodden and the crew did at the Baylands Raceway Park. A short 8-year history, but it was really come to be one of the best tracks ever in California.
It really is amazing. It doesn't matter what track you're at or what group of friends you have. It seems like Baylands always comes up in the conversation. I mean, as long as I've been alive, it really is amazing. As you said, it was only around for 7 or 8 years, but the history and the things that went on there was absolutely phenomenal. So that's going to be exciting this weekend. And we also recently had the chance to catch up with Petaluma Speedway promoter Rick Faeth. Actually, he's the GM and marketing director is his title.
He wears multiple hats, that's right.
He also announces, he also writes, so he does everything. We caught up with him at Pit Stop USA down in Petaluma and kind of got his thoughts on the Salute to Baylands and also the general overview of what the Petaluma Speedway has going on, because he's got a lot of great youthful ideas, and it really bodes well for the future of Petaluma.
This week as well, I mean, we're going to highlight the Bradway. And Brandon had his work cut out for him this weekend because we had a lot of highlights for the Dave Bradway Memorial Junior race at Silver Dollar Speedway, including he had to get off the roof because of rain and the lightning and it was scaring him to death. And then he repositioned himself, shot a lot of great footage, has put it together, and we've got a great highlight package from the Dave Bradway Jr. Memorial.
You speak about the rain and the wind. We definitely want to thank everyone for waiting out the rain with us. I know it kind of put us all in a tight situation and everything, but the teams did a great job. Officials did a great job, and the fans that came, hung in there with us, and we had a lot of fun. We always love going to Silver Dollar Speedway, and the highlight package that Brandon cuts is a pretty cool little deal. It kind of highlights the autograph session and the different amounts of money that we're giving out during the night.
One of the things we're probably going to remind you, we will remind you all night long, is time is running out to get your reservations at the special prices. Special rates at the John Esquagas Nugget for our Fernley race. That's coming up in 2 weeks, May 17th and 18th. And you need to call them at 1-800-648-1177 and give them that special code, all uppercase, GKWS2. It's the number 2. And you'll get the special KWS rate for that weekend. We're very excited because not only are we getting special rates, but Gary, the first ever Fan Fest party at the Nugget.
Yeah, if you're a fan, you definitely got to stay at the Nugget because all the teams are going to be staying there, and we're really excited to partner with the John Esquagas Nugget. Mike Milligan's just been great to work with over there, and these fan parties are going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have driver autographs, food, drinks, music. What more can a race fan want than these post-race parties? The first one who said May 17th, next Friday night, so it's fast approaching.
Hey, we had the pleasure of interviewing Mike Milligan last weekend. He had his first ever sprint car race at the Bradway, and he's excited. When you talk about a new fan, we made a new fan out of Mike last week when he was at Chico. He goes, I can't believe how fast these cars are. And I said, they're going to be better at Fernley. Yeah. And he's excited. They do a lot of these parties for corporations, for other sports teams, and they're looking forward to put on a big party for you, the fans, the racers, and the officials on Friday night. That's Friday night, May 17th at the Nugget after the races at the Reno Tahoe Fernley Speedway.
Yeah, don't miss it. We're excited for that. And I think the time has come now to kind of put our wrap on Silver Dollar Speedway last weekend, George, and it was pretty much all about Rico Abreu. I mean, look at the amount of money the kid
Gary, I'm reading this. This can't be right. $8,500. I don't think we ever paid that much.
That's a Bradway record in the 23-year history of the event. Pretty impressive. And something else very impressive is that Rico became the youngest winner ever at the Bradway. So a very historical night.
You've been hitting the books, haven't you? Youngest winner, most money, anything else?
I've had to go to the archives with Dave and Diane DeRica, Bobby Gerald, and a few other people to try to find out some of the past Bradway events and happenings. But no, we want to give a big congratulations to Rico.
Well, what about car count? Is that the biggest car count we've had this year?
Biggest car count we've had in the last 3 years.
Wow.
King of the West came on board, so that was great. And we definitely want to thank all the teams for their support.
Hey, now let's take a listen to the K-Dean Winners Circle interview with Rico Abreu by our very own Gary Thomas. You had a chance to catch up with Rico this week?
Yeah, I caught up with Rico. He was out doing some fishing on the river when we talked to him, and we kind of wanted to ask him how special it was to get his name on that championship list of former Bradway winners.
You know, that race, you know, there's a lot of background to that race, and you know, all the winners that actually have won it. You know, they go quick time and start on the front row of that dash and win the dash, and then you know, I ran second majority of the feature, and you know, Shane broke that U-joint, and I inherited the lead, and you know, just ran a good race. You know, the whole race I ran a good race. You know, I had a lot of confidence that night.
Well, yeah, I know you're a busy man, but before I let you go, we'd like to, of course, give you a chance to thank everyone for helping get you to that Bradway win and for their help all season long as well.
Yeah, definitely my you know, my dad for all the work he's done for, you know, our team, and Paul Silva and Trevor Canales. You know, they work all week on our car, and then, you know, to work on Shane's car, you know, to build that car too. And we built a brand new ART car. You know, I can't thank ART for giving us a great car to put together, and you know, FK Rod and Jeannie Butler. You know, they all do real good with, you know, Speedway engines. They're all real good to us.
Gary, the life of a sprint car driver, out on the river during the week, fishing for sturgeon. No wonder he's so relaxed when he gets to the races.
Exactly. Rico's calm, cool, and collected no matter what. But hey,
great young man.
Someone else we talked about that's always wanted to win the Bradway is Kyle Hurst. He came so close. He was right there. You heard Rico talk about. You could hear Kyle a couple times, and a second place finish, and it keeps him as the point leader.
Well, Rico might have heard him, but we saw him right up alongside.
Yeah.
He was doing everything he could to try to get by Rico, because that was probably the best opportunity that he's had in years to win the Bradway.
Yep, he did a great job finishing second, and five-time Bradway champion Jonathan Aller came home third for his first podium of the season.
He had his work cut out for him. He didn't. He had to pass a few cars to get up there.
He did, and you know, someone else we always love having on hand, and not full-time this year, is Andy Gregg. Did a phenomenal job driving the Coors Light 53 now with Brian Cannon crewing the car, and his career best Bradway finishing fourth.
Absolutely. I wish he'd muster something up with him and Cannon to run the full series, because I think this is one of his best opportunities to be consistent with Cannon on the board.
Great combination, no doubt about it. And rounding up the top five, you talk about another guy we love having. Don't see him as much anymore, but Sean Becker.
Well, that guy is just amazing when it comes to Chico, and you know, fifth place doesn't sound all that much, but he had to work to get there. He passed a lot of cars, and doing so, he picked up the $1,000 Hard Charger Award.
Yep, took home that $1,000 cash, plus a nice plaque that was donated by Alan Bradway and Grant's photo art that just came out tremendous. And I know Sean Becker, you know the guy I wish we could get full time, but always love having him when possible.
Gary, you know, Tim Grant, you talk about all the people that donated, you know, items for the races. You know, Hoserville, we had. Redline Oil.
Yeah, Redline Oil, right. Butler Built, Roth Motorsports.
Abreu Vineyards.
Yeah.
It was just an amazing night. And there was electricity in the air, and it wasn't just because of the lightning.
That's right.
But it was a great night. Got to thank Dave and Diane DeRica, your parents, Dennis and Cindy Thomas, yourself, because I know you put a lot of time and effort. This is one of your special events that you really get involved with, because this doesn't happen overnight, and it takes a lot of work by a lot of people. And you know, we got to thank all you guys and gals for making this the absolute best Bradway Memorial ever.
Yeah, the most fun I've ever had at the Bradway. We had we had to fire the CDF on property and everything, so kind of threw a curveball at us all, but we all got through it. We had a fun time, and you know, you talk about Dennis Gage, the promoter there, just does a great job, and then Troy Hennig does almost everything around there. He drives a forklift, he picks up trash and blows the grandstands out, and you know, I don't know if racing would still be there at Chico without Troy.
That and And you know, I got to hand it to the fans that came out that night at Chico. When it first started, you know, the storms were coming. Everybody knew the storm was coming. The crowd looked a little thin. Then the storm passed, and all of a sudden, people appeared.
Here they came.
They came from out of wherever, and we had a really great crowd for the Bradway.
Yeah, really great crowd. So thank you, everyone. And I think that's enough talking from us.
Yeah.
Let's check out that great highlight package that our executive producer, Brandon Skaggs, put together.
The 23rd annual Dave Bradway Jr. Memorial was a very special event for a lot of drivers and fans alike. Lots of money and prizes were up for grabs as 41 cars made the trek up to Silver Dollar Speedway in Chico, California. The night started off right with a special pre-race autograph session. Fans got to see five-time Dave Bradway Jr. Memorial Champion Jonathan Allard, Tri-C machine driver Willie Croft, current King of the West point leader Kyle Hurst and his father, old school sprint car driver and former Northern Iowa Racing Club champion Rick Hurst, young gun Dominic Selzy was on hand, as well as his dad, former four-time NHRA champion Gary Selzy. Rico Abreu in the number 24 kicked off the big night of racing by setting fast time at 12:199 and took home $1,140 cash along with a custom Jägermeister trophy and Coors Light cowboy hat in memory of car wash Mike Avila. Rico didn't stop there, however, as he wasn't done racking up the dough. During the Bradway, even the heat races are special, as winners receive $500 cash courtesy of Abreu Vineyards, a right rear tire, and 5 sleeves of Teros courtesy of Hoserville, plus a case of gear oil courtesy of Redline Oil.
The 4 heat race winners during the night were Shane Stewart in the number 57, Willie Croft driving the number 3C, Jonathan Allard and the number 0, and Dominic Selzy piloting the number 41 sprint car.
The car count was so large that we had to have a C main. Justin Sanders claimed the 10-lap C main in the number 7 sprint car.
While the 6-lap trophy dash was captured by Rico Abreu, which put him on the pole for the main event, and also earned him $1,000 cash, again courtesy of Abreu Vineyards.
Into turn 1, Jason York with the lead, but big pileup on the front stretch. Down big time.
The 12-lap last chance qualifier saw Corning, California's Bud Wahlberg in the number 55 claim victory and take home a whopping $1,000 cash courtesy of Abreu Vineyards.
23rd annual Dave Bradway Jr. Memorial. $5,000 to win. All the extra lap money. Rico Abreu, Shane Stewart will lead the field with a chalk stripe. Field in the turn number 1. Rico on the bottom, Stewart on the top. Andy Gregg right there in third. Here comes Stewart on the top, and Shane Stewart will get the lead down the backstretch.
Allard and Gregg side by side off turn 2, battle for fourth. Allard on the inside, noses ahead. Gregg stays committed to the high side. Gregg now swings to the low side as Allard takes over the 4th spot. Gregg now sneaking back to the inside of Allard side by side in turn 1, and Allard will take command of the position. Oh, big pileup. Kevin Sherritt, Corey Elias, and Nick Green all come together. Yellow flag.
Boy, Stewart's got 1 and 2 figured out, Gary. Here comes Kyle Hurst. Hurst charges around Andy Gregg for third.
Allard and Croft side by side just behind Dominic Selzy. Great three-car battle for third. Croft on the high side. Allard trying to sneak to the inside. Allard will take the spot. Move Allard to sixth. Croft going to try to stay on the high side. Battle there as well. Sean Becker also trying to poke his nose in there. Great four-car battle for the top 5 spot. Croft once again staying on the high side off turn 2. Allard on the bottom now trying to come up to Dominic Selzy. Allard wheel to wheel with Selzy in turn 3. Give it to J.A. Move the 0 to the top 5.
Going to be exciting in turn 1 as Shane Stewart leads the field off 4. Abreu going to try to go to the top side and see if he can find a little bit of moisture up top. Abreu not quite making it happen. But Abreu will make another attempt. Could this open the door for Hurst? Forget about Hurst. Abreu, can he clear Stewart? Their teammates, Gary, side by side in the 3. Shane Stewart able to hang on. Stewart, smoke out of Stewart's car, and he's in trouble. Shane Stewart's dead in the water. Rico Abreu, the new leader. Heartbreak City for Shane Stewart. Rico Abreu, new leader. Kyle Hurst second, and John Allen third. 31 down, 9 to go. Just ahead, we'll see if Hurst can make something happen with just 5 more laps to go. Compton out of the way for Abreu. Now Hurst will also clear. Rico Abreu makes the white flag, 1 to go. Abreu on the bottom of the racetrack. It's his race to win or lose. Down the back straightaway. The 23rd annual Dave Bradway Jr. will go to Rico Abreu. Kyle Hurst second. John Allen third. Andy Gregg fourth.
Abreu walked away with over $6,440 just for the A-main.
It's awesome, tough luck for Stewart, he's just being patient there. And I don't know if they blew up or something happened, but I was just trying to be patient, save my tires, it's rubbering up there. Then we got into traffic and I got the lead, and I knew no one was going to drive by me, so I just cruised there. Paul, this is a brand new ART car we put together for last night and tonight, and quick time, win the dash, and win the feature, that's pretty good. Tough luck for Shane and Paul with Paul's car, but I can't thank Paul, ART, all these guys bust their butts to, it pays off.
Yeah, thank you guys for sticking out the rain, the wind, packing this house for us. Congratulations to Rico, Shane, Silver Motorsports had good cars tonight, and they're always hard to beat. So congratulations to them, their whole team. Also thank my team, Roth Motorsports. These guys worked their butt in, night night out with this King of the West deal. So here we are, ran second. I'll put one of these things off here, these Bradways one of these years. So thank Dave and Diane for putting this thing on, everyone that put up money for us. It makes it that much more funner. So thank you guys. Come say hi after the race, and congratulations to everyone here.
I just, one guy that doesn't get a lot of credit is Dan Simpson. I think he's kept 410 racing alive in California, and we want to thank him and his whole team for having us out here and putting a great point series together. And just goes to show how many cars we got tonight. But also my team owners, Katie and Maury Williams, my family for being here, JP's Paint and Body Works, Platinum Powder Coating, all the guys at Chico, they helped me out quite a bit. And thank all you guys for sticking out the rain and being here, spending your hard-earned money to come to watch this show.
Hey, Brandon, thanks. Great job. Some great highlights from the Bradway. And I know for me, when that night was over, I was spent.
Yeah,
trying to get through the storm, get done by 11 o'clock. And but the racers, the fans, right down to the push truck drivers, everybody was just phenomenal in really pushing that show through before the 11 o'clock curfew.
The 11 o'clock curfew, that's all that counted. And we talk about historical events. The Bradway, of course, is one of them. And this weekend, we have an inaugural event we've never had before, the Salute to Baylands. I know as we talked about, it's very special to your heart. You spent a lot of your years over there at Baylands announcing and working on sponsorship and doing almost everything, it seemed like.
Well, I didn't do everything, but I
didn't flag.
I didn't flag. No, I ain't going to do that. That's a Willie Williams can do that. But no, it was a place that it felt like I spent a lot of my life there, even though I had a full-time job. We raced there, 4, 5, 6 nights, days a week. So you might be working 2 or 3 days or nights a week there, and spent a lot of time there. A lot of great memories, a lot of great friends, and And we've got some Facebook comments and some emails from people around the country here,
right?
That and the world. We even got one from Australia.
Yes, we did. Yes,
that we'll cover at the race. About some of the memories they had at Baylands.
Yeah, we got Eric Bradley. I mean, the response on social networking has been awesome with this event, and this came from Eric Bradley. It says, so many memories. Bailey Brothers 01, the Coors Light car. The one race I will never forget is the third GP Classic, I think. Sills and Kinzer going wheel to wheel for like 20 laps. Probably the best race I've ever seen. Should have been Jimmy if not for a final corner slide job. Sills full-time outlaw car, 7X McCarl, I think, maybe GP5.
Yeah, those were all great. They were all great. And Steve Kinzer, I think we talked about it off camera at the office. Steve Kinzer, Jimmy Sills, Brent Kading, Leland McSpadden, the greats.
Those are some of the biggest names we have in the Western United States, man.
And we talked about the number of Hall of Famers that raced at Baylands. You know, Leroy Van Conant and Jimmy Boyd, and the list goes on. And we got to see some of the best in the business those 8 short years at Baylands. Another post from Rick Faeth, who is going to be our promoter this week. The third car involved in the fire. Now I need to probably
let's probably elaborate on this. This is a famous event at Baylands, the big fire, and you
there is a picture at the Sprint Car Hall of Fame in Knoxville that involves a fire that happened at a World of Outlaws show at Baylands. And at that particular time, Dave Vaughn volunteered me to be the assistant race director with the World of Outlaws. Then they only brought like 2 people, so we helped out with the outlaw officials. And down on the track, accident in turn 3 and 4. 2 of the cars burst into flames, Mylan Garrett and Sargent, and those cars would not go out. Wow. The fuel was pouring out of the cars, the cell was broken, the fuel was all over the racetrack. But the amazing thing is the fans. Back then, this is in the 80s, they came up with over $2,000 to give those 2 drivers because of that fire. Well, they were so impressed, I thought the sergeants were going to cry. I know, I probably hurt their image.
Yeah, right. They're the tough guys.
Nobody had ever done that for them before. They went back to the shops and rebuilt those cars. And they were back the next night running. It was absolutely amazing. And when those cars came back on the racetrack, it was a standing
I'm sure the crowd went wild, yeah, man.
And we probably had close to 15,000, 18,000 people there for that race. I don't know what the place held when it was packed, overflow in the infield in the back, but it was great to hear the fans roar for those 2 guys as they brought it back. And as scary as it was for us being down there, it was sure rewarding when the next night when everybody made it back out. So that's kind of what Rick was talking about there. I made a long story out of a short paragraph.
But yeah, you heard that was one of Rick Faith's memorable moments at Baylands. We also had the opportunity to talk to Rick about the Salute to Baylands this weekend and all the happenings that have been going on at Petaluma since he took over the position of GM and marketing manager. So let's go to the first part of our interview with Rick Faeth. We're pleased to be joined by Petaluma Speedway General Manager and Marketing Director. I believe that's the correct title for our guest tonight, Mr. Rick Faeth. Rick, thanks for joining us here at Pit Stop USA.
Eric, George, welcome.
We've had people calling and saying, hey, when you talk to Rick, have him tell us what his position is at Petaluma Speedway and a little bit of history about yourself.
That's a very interesting question.
No, we were supposed to be easy, Rick.
Yeah,
let's start off with the easy.
We're easy on everyone.
I grew up in Los Gatos. My influences were San Jose Fairgrounds Speedway and Baylands Raceway Park.
Got a late start racing.
Joined the Bay Cities Racing Association. That's where I got my roots. Started.
You said about 28 you started racing.
Yeah, 28.
That's later than these kids nowadays.
Yeah, 28 months is when they start now. But, I would say terrible race car driver, I mean, probably the Mr. 7th place BCRA, but it taught me how to get involved with an association, an organization, the Manning's involvement there. Spent a lot of time at the Promoters Workshop helping to book races.
Okay.
Thought I knew it all, and I decided to become a promoter. Walked away from a career in the Bay Area. Some events happened. Actually, the passing of Fred Brownfield. Then George Wade moved on from Shasta. The track went out for bid. I won. So, but we were there for 4 years and ran a pavement track there. And it has its challenges in a smaller region. Before we go any further, I got to thank Jim and Karen Soares for giving me the opportunity. Basically, do the day-to-day operations, and Jim's still there to assist with the dirt track prep. And, we were talking off camera. If there was some way we could plug into his head to my head to expedite that, but it does take time. I take care of the water and keep this track together.
Now you're coming into your second year in your position with Petaluma Speedway. How would you sum up that inaugural campaign last year?
I think that we didn't change a great deal in terms of the schedule. We went out and focused on getting sponsors. In terms of, I think we have 7 divisions, 6 of them we get sponsored.
I noticed that. There's a lot of companies that are involved.
Yeah, and that's sort of where I think Jim wanted me to come in, and whether you say my expertise or whatnot, we had 17 out of the 23 race nights sponsored. Ed took a flyer on me. I came in and I essentially sold myself and sold Petaluma Speedway for him. Remains to be seen whether or not he's pleased, but no, I think honestly he signed up for both sprint car classes, and we sat here and talked about, hey, look, we want to brand like Taco Bravo. You think of Taco Bravo, you think of Friday night Watsonville, and you can pay me like $5 later, John. But that's what we were after, was having, you mentioned Pit Stop USA, you're thinking Petaluma sprint cars.
Right.
And I think we're on to a good start after the first year. Second year, now the schedule's all mine. We've cut back on some things. We've exposed some others that expanded. KWS coming back, whatnot.
Right. I know we drove by the facility this afternoon and noticed a lot of changes out front. Big shopping center, what would be on the backside of the racetrack now.
Yeah, I mean, it's this track, like any other track in California, they used to be east of the tracks, east of the railroad tracks, and now we're surrounded by development, and you can't stop progress. And one of the things I think that probably a skill set that I have is that they give you this box to operate in, with a contract and the neighbors and whatnot, and you have to operate within that box. And that's just the way it is. I mean, everybody wants to go and say, the track was here first, and that just doesn't fly.
Yeah, we talked about curfew. I mean, it's important up here. You're right in the middle of town.
Yeah.
It's a 10 o'clock curfew, and it's a city-owned property. It's not a state facility, so they can dictate when you have to be done. And so we'll have a little earlier start when KWS comes up there.
People ask me, well, gosh, what do you do at an opening? What do you do on race night? And really, I'm very hands-on, but most importantly is time management.
Right.
And like I said, we done by 10 o'clock. We probably average being done. And I think people, they want to be done. Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
When I was growing up, kids come down to the pits, get autographed. We have a tremendous amount of following. Everybody from the grandstands comes down, and go get pizza afterwards. So I think that this going till 11 and whatnot, it's a detriment to short track Saturday night racing.
Yeah, that's something that we always talk about with King of the West. Is you want to run that tight program. We usually start at 7 and want to get done by 10 because fans want to go to pits, they want to hang out, and right when it gets to 10 o'clock, I think they talk about it in the promoters workshop is that you see families leaving.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
That's the worst thing you can have is a family leave before everything's done. So
yeah,
that's always a big thing. We definitely are looking forward to that at Petaluma. Sure.
Gary, what a great asset to the Petaluma Speedway. Rick Faeth has gone up there, and he's a real go-getter.
Yeah, he's one of those youthful go-getting promoters that seem to be popping up in different places. And Rick Faeth has done a great job at Petaluma. Very, very excited to go back there because, you talk about some of the most exciting tracks in California. Some of the races that I've seen at Petaluma in the last 10 years have been some of the best anywhere.
Sea level. You got to watch the tide.
Wait for that tide
Water
to come
comes in. We got a hooked up racetrack. And Rick will tell you, he spends some time still today talking to Dave Bodden about things to do at Petaluma and with racing in general. And David has offered up this week a lot of comments about why he did certain things at Baylands. And Rick Faeth is one of David's followers. Yeah. I mean, he really appreciates the information that David gives him.
Well, let's get into some of David Vodden's comments that we got on Facebook. One of David's comments on Facebook says, "Funny how we remember the extremes. There were many, but it is worth noting since the event this weekend is at Petaluma that I actually recruited Jim Soares away from his dad to do the track preparation because the original sprint car driver that was hired just did not know how to make dirt. Early events suffered greatly, especially the grand opening. Jim came on despite no one believing I could get him and only quit once to be rehired again. The CRA 2-day non-wing show was one of the fallouts that we had with Jim, and I had dry slick Hawkins, who I think worked at Calistoga.
Yes, that's absolutely.
He came and did the track between Saturday and Sunday night, the finale of the CRA weekend. He worked all night because, like most artists, he had a completely different view of how the track should be. Leland McSpadden won the CRA race Sunday in a dramatic dry slick battle with Brent Kading. More great stuff.
And a Sunday race that was phenomenal, but it was a non-wing Sunday race. And right, when you had Leland McSpadden, Brent Kading, and the CRA best.
That's always a show right there.
Oh, it was a great show. Another comment from David, I borrowed a lot of ideas from other promoters to make Baylands work. The Tri-Holiday series that we did on Monday nights came from where the booking in the celebrity drivers to create more attraction for the fans and better racing. That's where it came from. The summer national races were inspired in part by what dark weekend when drivers all went to Washington. We had a down weekend, so we come up with gotta have a national. We ended up with more than one. We had 4. What were the other 3 national races called? Do you know, Gary?
I have no idea. 7-Up, I think. 7-Up Nationals.
We had 7-Up.
Okay.
We had the Summer Nationals, 7-Up, Budweiser Nationals.
Okay.
Major sponsor at Baylands, and the Fall Nationals.
Okay. Pretty good trivia there. And another comment came from Ron Lindgren, who is the Petaluma Speedway announcer. He's at scoring there.
Yeah.
He says, was there for a Fall Nationals, and Kading threw a slider on Kinzer on a restart in 3 and 4. They, of course, back then started on the backstretch. And the biggest crowd pop I've ever heard from a sprint car crowd blew the roof off the place. Kinzer drove back underneath Kading off of 4 and walked away into the sunset.
Well, you know, Steve Kinzer did that a lot at Baylands. He was right up there. He would, he'd come out late in the season after the Outlaws were done, and when he walked in for the GP, you said,
he
well,
wanted to
give him the check. We're racing for
Didn't
second.
he win every GP Classic there, I think?
Pretty much, yeah. It was a phenomenal record. Steve Kinzer, in his prime at Baylands, it was like a ballet. He was absolutely perfection at Baylands. Ed Kinkle, one of the officials with Civil War, I believe. I love Baylands. Out of all the tracks, this track had the best side-by-side racing and passing of any track. If you went to the top of the stands and looked over to the left, you saw a couple of wrecking yards out there. Well, you would have seen my family's wrecking yard. We were the last one on the dirt road. I remember that. Fremont Auto Wreckers. Spent a lot of weekends at this track with my dad and other family members. We hear a lot of that as well.
Right.
Really wish it was still here. We will be at Petaluma this weekend. Can't wait. I've heard a lot of those comments.
Heard a lot of those too.
I think people need to get to Petaluma early because it's going to be a big crowd. Yeah. Hey, now let's hear part 2 from the managing director, promoter at Petaluma Speedway, Mr. Rick Faeth. When the 410 sprint car fans come to Petaluma for a KWS race, what can they expect to see? I know we talked last week, and you're in there painting and cleaning and making some improvements.
My goal is we've got a quote for the Paint the Grandstand. That's sort of the one thing that we did do last year is threw a coat of paint on it, on the place, worked in the pits and the high traffic areas viewable from the freeway because, I believe honestly that people, if you have a rundown, ugly facility, they're not going to want to come there. If you have something that is professional looking and is clean, then they're going to gravitate towards your facility, and it will continuously upgrade. I'd like to have that grandstand painted by the time May 11th comes around, but that night is actually going to be, I think, a grand slam for us.
That was our next
topic.
This
is our little segue here.
Salute to Baylands.
So,
I wasn't around back then. I know George and you were. You old timers were around back then. But
see how he treats us? If you're over 25, you're an old timer, Rick. I mean, that's what I have to deal with every day.
I'm approaching 2 times old timer.
Yeah. Well, I'm 3, so it's really bad. The tribute to Baylands, it's a great idea. It's long overdue.
Fans have loved it.
I know you and I have talked. You got a great idea, bringing some of the drivers back to do autograph sessions. Dave Vodden's going to come back. We'll get him on the microphone.
David Vodden, I mean, go on YouTube and listen to this guy. It's not like he didn't have a Vince Scully type voice, but I mean, he was so informed. And I mean, Baylands was, I think, 10 or 11 years, and they just ran sprint cars on Saturday night. Fantastic facility, drag strip, whatnot. But that's where I learned about racing and was involved as a very influential teenager and whatnot. And I mean, it was like having an outlaw racing. Jimmy Sills, Chuck Gurney, Boyd, Hannestad, Butcher. We're going to try to get as many of those folks back involved with the May 11th autograph session. Have shirts made up that have of course, the Baylands logo and the Petaluma Speedway logo. But again, we got to run race that night, of course, but we'll have an autograph session. reminisce in between probably an intermission where we could tell some funny David Vodden stories.
Yeah, we've got a few of those.
You know, but I think that it's kind of long overdue. And, you know, the idea came from the West Capitol reunion that it is very successful. So
I know there's a lot of people you need to thank. I mean, you've had a very successful last year. Right? We've talked, and you know, I congratulate you. You came in and your rookie year, you did a heck of a job. I know you got a lot of people. You're out there, you know, walking the sidewalks, getting people involved.
Scott Irwin, Tim Colvin, been there 18 years. He's sort of a right-hand man for me. And Mr. Fix-It, I couldn't tell you. There's just some great sponsors, McClay's Tires, Napa, Petaluma Auto Parts, Lumberjack Restaurant, great family right on board with us. And of course, Hoosier Tires.
One of the other questions I know we talked off camera, the long-term prognosis. Well, whatever I was trying to say.
That's easy for you.
Yeah, that was easy for me to say.
Diagnosis, no. But yeah,
people ask me, you know, they're right in the middle of town.
Right.
Is that going to be gone tomorrow?
It is a concern. You know, we're not the only track either. Again, being that it is city-owned property, you can't stress that enough. The state leases the property from the city. They have a 50-year lease.
Right.
We are entering, there's 10 years left. There's actually 3 years left on the racetrack lease. So, you know, I have cultivated a really good relationship with Pat Conklin, who's the fair manager. And I believe that we can, you know, we can eke out another 7-year contract probably to get to the point to where, you know, that the chips lie with the city. You know, if the city says we want to extend the contract another 50 years with the fairgrounds, but the racetrack has to go, guess what? The racetrack's going to go.
Right.
But, you know, I believe that there's enough people in this community, and it falls on my shoulders as a representative of the track to get this done. You know, the good thing about this fairgrounds, the Sonoma Marin Fair, it doesn't operate hand over fist. You know, they've got a reserve. They do really well with events. You know, we paid them a lot of money too, for what it's worth. And she's happy with the effort that we did last year. And I think that, you know, if you can make these thresholds that they have for you, you know, then they have to replace that income somehow else when the racetrack goes away, if and when it goes away, and we hope it doesn't. But that's not easy to do, you know, to get somebody to come in and give you $75,000, $100,000, whatever it be.
Yeah. Hey, I got to thank you for the insights. Learned a little bit here about what it takes to put on a race and maintain a racetrack. It's always important for the fans to know that too.
Yeah, we really appreciate it.
Appreciate you having me on. It's always nice to be involved with another series, and we're couldn't be more thrilled to have KWS back in Petaluma.
We love Petaluma. The fans have called us over the last couple of years. I mean, 2 or 3 years. Wanting to be back at Petaluma. People at the tracks ask us if we're going to Petaluma. Finally, we're going back. We're really excited.
And to have a tribute to Baylands, I think it makes it even more important. Yeah, and the historic factor is going to be, that's a big wow factor.
Yeah.
May 11th, Petaluma Speedway, be there. Welcome back, everyone. There you have it. Some words with Rick Faeth, the GM and Marketing Director of the Petaluma Speedway, and we're very excited to make our return there this weekend. Let's go through some of the recent winners of Golden State King of the West 410 events at Petaluma. We had a little bit of a hiatus there at the early part of the 2000s, so we didn't run there. Then we returned in 2005. Sean Becker won, driving the McMillan Rolfe number 10. Then in 2006, Jonathan Allard swept both of those events, and that was Jonathan's first championship that season.
Yeah, 2006. 2007 saw Sean Becker and Jonathan Allard split the 2 races at Petaluma.
Yep.
Then 2008, another split, Bud Kading and Jason Statler picking up wins at the Black Gumbo, Petaluma Speedway.
2009, former King of the West Golden State champion Tyler Walker swept the events. And then in 2010, Jonathan Allard swept the events. So we kind of got a theme going there.
Yeah, well, it looks like when we have one race,
we have 2
races, splits.
Right. Let's go through some of the former champions at Baylands. I mean, it really is a who's who of Northern California sprint car racing. In 1982, Jimmy Sills, who was the man at Baylands. I know I've heard you talk many times about how he dominated the place. It was like his own personal playground.
Put him in the 01 car, it was done. That was Jimmy won. Jimmy Boyd in 83. Dave Bradway Jr., his only championship, won in 1984.
And Ed Organ, 85. We have a little connection there. Rico's crew chief Paul Silva.
Married to Lori.
Organ. Yep, the daughter of Ed. So a little bit of a more historical connection there.
Yeah. 1986, Chuck Miller. Steve Kent in 87. And then Chuck Miller
in 88. Yep. The first race at Baylands occurred on August 14th, 1981. Leroy Van Conant won that. Then the last race occurred October 8th of 1988, which was won by Steve Kent.
Track closed in November of 1998 and 1988, and probably that was, I tough night for all of us.
I can believe, yeah.
And believe me, there were tears. You know, I grew up in the Bay Area. I raced at the drag strip before I went to work at the oval course, and I'll tell you, it's what really hurts is to drive by the place now, see the ground still there, and it's vacant land.
Yeah.
After all these years, still no development, and what have, coulda, shoulda, man, it would have been great if that place was still there.
Yep. Keep talking about history of Baylands. Let's talk about some of the current stuff with the King of the West Series. Kyle Hurst has the slimmest of leads going into this Saturday night, 1 point over Rico Abreu. And those two guys, it seems like every week they're up there battling for their lead.
Hey, well, don't count out Jonathan Allard. He's sitting there in third.
And he's got 5 wins at Petaluma over the last 11 races, so JA is going to be tough. Craig Stidham's had a very consistent start to the season, top 10 finishes in each race, and you know, Craig got back into the 410 stuff last year, and he had some bad luck, but hey, he's come out strong right out of the box.
Hey, and talking about a team that's coming together, Willie Croft and the Tri-C, 3C, rounding out the top 5 in points, but they're starting to click. You can see that team come together. They've had some mechanical failures.
Right.
That kind of set them back a little bit, but Willie Croft, I think he's going to be one to watch.
He'll be tough at Petaluma, and I guess before we finish the show, we got to talk about next Friday and Saturday, May 17th and 18th. We once again mentioned the Reno Tahoe Fernley Speedway. Dan Simpson took over the track in the off season, has done just a ton of work there. A lot of noticeable changes.
Free RV and trailer parking on the facility. You got 3 locations to choose from. Now, where do you go to a racetrack where they say,
3 different
hey,
options?
you want to RV and party in the pits? You can put your RV in the pits. Got to buy a pit pass for that.
Right.
But if you want to party, there's one up on the top of the hill, which overlooks the whole facility. And then there's another one just south of the speedway, another piece of land. So there's going to be RV parking everywhere. Now there's no water and power on 2 of the sites, but in the pits there is water, no power.
No power.
I mean, there's lights out there. It's in the pits. Gary Dan Simpson's got a lot planned for the weekend to kick the season off with KWS at the Reno.
It's a happening. It's not just a race. It's a happening, and that's something I think that Dan's putting into place.
Well, that's one of the things that he professes is we got to make this entertaining for the fans. We have to give them a lot of entertainment for their dollar. And once we're done with the races, then we go to the Nugget on Friday night, and again the fan party with the racers and the food and the music and the entertainment. Then Saturday, we can go races. There's going to be a concert afterwards, right on site.
Right on site, yeah.
Or you can go back to the Nugget and party some more. It's going to be
hit the casino and probably win some money.
It's going to be great. But the thing is, we've been telling you all night, get your reservations now at the Nugget.
GKWS2. All uppercase letters is the code to call. Of course, once again, that number is 1-800-648-1177. And as you said, the time's running out to get that special rate. So
you can do it on the internet too if you have a computer.
Right. If you have a computer,
not many people have computers these days. www.janugget.com at hotel/book at agroup.asp. Oh, there's a mouthful. Or like you said, contact 800-648-1177. All the teams will be staying there. I mean, the top 25 teams get free rooms at the Nugget.
Well, hey, we definitely want to thank everyone for tuning in tonight. We're really excited for this Saturday night, not Baylands Raceway, Petaluma Speedway.
But it's a tribute.
It's a tribute to Baylands
Raceway Park, absolutely. Hey, be there. I look forward to seeing all the fans from Baylands.
Yep.
And again, don't miss this one. It's going to be great.
See you all Saturday.
Gary, I got breaking news. There was an The marble is fine. People are injured.
People are dead.
This is going on the bloopers.
No! It was worse than
Now I can't put it on because you said that.
Thank you, Gary. Yeah, I knew I wasn't going to be able to get through that.
Yeah. I'll just bleep you.
Yeah. See, Dan, look at George. He's not company live.